Welcome to the Good, the Bad, and the Music podcast. We're your hosts, T. Davis.
And bri.worek.
And this is the 19th episode.
Yeah, when you were showing me the list of talking points and you had episode 19 written at the top, I was like, what? No way. Because we've only been doing this for 6 months, 7 months-ish.
About 7 months.
19 seems like a lot. And I know there's podcasters out there that are doing like 3-4 episodes a week, which is insane. I don't know how anyone keeps up with that pace. But yeah, for 19, I feel pretty proud about that.
Yeah. I think it's a decent pace, you know, for it being not like a weekly thing and, you know, we kind of going around the guest schedules. I think it's pretty good. But yeah, I guess I'm going to do some like housekeeping. I've got another single in the works right now called The Devil's Got Work to Do. That'll probably be out sometime in March. I am waiting on the last like overdub to come back and then I can send it off to mix, but excited. Had Cameron McLaren play drums on it. Josh Schilling on keys again. Gonna have Casey Mayer from the Coastline Band play some tasty slide guitar. A little bit more of a blues rock kind of vibe, funkier thing than US Highway 50, so a little change of pace that I'm kind of excited about. And it's been going over well live.
I was going to say, I feel like this track is a little bit more upbeat than US Highway 50. I feel like US Highway 50 was like not more thoughtful in the way like you didn't think about this one, but like it doesn't have as much depth. It's like it's less fun. Yeah, it's like a fun tune. Mm-hmm. And there'll be some pretty killer like instrumentation on it and all that. Yeah, it'll be good.
But anyway, there's that. What about you?
Yeah, I finish this is totally unrelated to music, but I finished my endoscopy certification in March.
Hell yeah.
As a speech therapist, so I'll have the ability to put the scopes in the noses myself and see how vocal cords are working and see what airways are looking like and see what swallowing's looking like and all of that jazz. So pretty excited.
Didn't you have to get scoped like 100 times or some shit like that?
So we had to do 100 scopes in our first like weekend training. You have to do 100 scope passes. But I myself, I think we were each scoped 10 times, I think. It's it's something that's definitely necessary to be able to tell your patients how it actually feels. It's like in graduate school when they make you eat pureed foods and thickened liquids, like you're going to experience this, you know? Yeah. So yeah, I definitely think that it's a good thing to be on both sides of the scope. And that training finishes in March. And in March also, the following week, you and I will be going to Emory University and Oxford in Atlanta to do a little bit of presenting. It's I don't want to say it's more about me. I mean, it kind of is.
It is. It's about you. It's okay.
Yeah, but we're also going to go to the music school, and you're going to be a part of that too, which is going to be cool. Yeah. So I'm going to be presenting on non-traditional career paths and SLP and kind of how I brought music and the speech therapy world together and how I do that in my professional side business, but how I just like fold music into speech therapy sometimes anyway. And then you and I will also be going to the music department and meeting with those people. So I'll be doing a formal presentation more for the linguistics department and people that are interested in the speech path career field. I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's I don't want to say it's what I've trained for, but when I look back on all the little things I've done, when I've done presentations at craft shows when no one was paying attention, I know you've probably had that same exact experience too as a musician. Sometimes you're singing to 2 people in a bar where it seems like no one cares, but it's like getting those repetitions in. It's kind of like the 100 scope passes. Like you have to get that under your belt before you can go do the big thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be cool. I'm proud of you. I think that's a good thing to have on the old CV resume. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so some cool stuff to look forward to. This past couple weeks has been kind of fucking nuts, though, here in Nashville with Winter Storm Fern or whatever the fuck her name was.
It was whatever lady ruined our lives. Yeah, Fern was a wild time. It was definitely bad anyway, as far as living in the South during snowy times. Me being from Pennsylvania, usually things are pretty handled if you get a foot of snow. Not that it's not a big deal, but I sometimes forget how catastrophic of a deal it can be when you're living in the South because they're just so underprepared for those sorts of things. And when we lived in North Carolina together, at least in the 8 years I was there, I don't ever recall significant winter weather.
No. Well, the thing about the South is they don't have the infrastructure in place to actually treat the roads.
Right.
Nor do they have the infrastructure in place to quickly clear them. And we didn't get snow. We got a half inch or more of ice on every tree and power line in the city of Nashville. And, you know, we don't have a state income tax here. So basically, all of the taxes that we pay are consumption-based taxes. And I guess property taxes, I'm sure that there's some of that. But there's no state income tax. And the NES, which is the private corporation responsible for maintaining the power infrastructure here, I mean, for lack of a better word, did a piss poor job restoring power to East Nashville. It seems like all of East Nashville was without power. We talked to some people at Dose today who said that like their neighbor just got power back on. And Jacob, Imran, and Rose Savage crashed with us for the week. They were without power for the entire week last week. And their house was like a fucking refrigerator.
Yeah.
And
it was unnecessary. The running joke was their house kind of looked like a meth den because they were trying to cover the windows, close themselves into the living room, sleeping on pallets. It sounded like just trying to stay warm. And it got to the point where I don't want to say live or die situation because that sounds dramatic, but people literally died in their homes.
11 people died. So there's that.
People literally died in their homes. And when you have the means like we do to help folks out, you have to.
Well, and by the way, we just got lucky.
Yes.
We happen to live on a street where on our block the power lines are buried, and fortunately, between here and the main roads or wherever the main lines are, they just didn't. The power lines didn't collapse. The trees didn't hit them. Yeah. But
which surprises me because during the tornado season last spring, we lost power multiple times. It was never for more than maybe a day.
Yeah, well, I mean, we did lose power for about 20 minutes, but it was, you know, I'm sure that was from like, you know, branches falling and temporarily disrupting the current. I don't know.
I'm amazed we didn't lose power.
I'm not a lineman, so I don't know. But what I do know is that it came out that NES refused help from union subcontractors because of the extra cost.
Yeah.
So there were out-of-state companies willing to come here and do the work, and they just like didn't want to bear the extra cost.
And look, man, like please do not get us wrong and we have a family member who's a lineman. I just want it also to be clear that like we are not so grateful for the linemen that are showing up and doing the work. It's the upper.
Yeah, it's not their choice.
No, it's the upper institution layer of all of this of not wanting to pay certain fees and not wanting to.
No shit. I'm sure the linemen working for NES would have loved to have had some extra help when they're working and doing like, 16-hour days.
Yeah, I just spilled my soda all over myself.
It's okay.
Luckily, I'm wearing dark colors. I really wanted, side note, to redeem myself from our last podcast because I looked very tragic coming off of a week of travel for the holidays and just spilled soda all over myself. But hopefully no one can tell.
I think the microphone's kind of covering your
it just slightly
your boob.
Yeah,
that you just doused with liquid death.
Slightly distracted me. But if I look damp, if you're catching this, on the YouTube, that's why.
It's fine.
It's fine. No big deal.
But yeah, so we got through that. It was fun having Jacob and Rose over there.
It was. Cool. They are, as far as guests go, they are definitely the most chill guests you could have had. And we had a fourth cat in the house too, which was interesting.
Cleo, shout out Cleo.
Yeah, shout out to Cleo. And Cleo just stayed her little self in the guest bedroom the whole time. I feel like our cats, if we had them somewhere else, would have been like beating the door down to get out. I would have occasionally hear her meow. I'm amazed none of our cats sniffed her out. But as far as cats go, hands down, she was a good visiting cat.
Yeah, but we had a good time.
It was like a prolonged sleepover.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Jacob showed me a bunch of traditional blues shit on the guitar, and I've just been playing the same thing over and over again, Vestipule, trying to get that song down. And yeah, that was cool.
You got to share all your funky film class work with Jacob.
I had been wanting to...
One person who actually cared.
Yeah, Jacob does a lot of really cool stop motion animation, doing claymation stuff.
Mm-hmm. And Jacob was at one point a podcast guest. Check out his episode, Jacob Emron.
Yeah, but we hung out and I had the syllabus from my avant-garde cinema class.
Where did you pull that out from, by the way? Did you have that here?
I had it saved on my phone or something because I had the instructor email it to me.
Okay. I thought you had a book in a box somewhere and you're digging through your archives for...
No, I had that on my phone because I had sent it to Jacob months ago. But then I was like, we're here. We don't have anything else to do. Let's watch some of this shit. Mm-hmm. And we watched a bunch of, art film from the 60s, 70s through the 90s. It was great.
Yeah. It was something. We watched Con Air.
Hell yeah.
That was a good time. I Love You, Man. We pulled that one out. Forgetting Sarah Marshall. It was like an 8-day sleepover.
Mm-hmm.
So that was cool. But yeah, I feel like everyone has just been very out of sorts the last week. The snowstorm weekend, because I work Friday to Mondays at the hospital. By the time I got to Monday and we had quite a few hospital call-offs, I was pretty salty by the time Monday came. I feel like I only safely made it back and forth to work. Shout out to Allegra because she had her husband's truck, so she was able to take me home Saturday, and she picked me up Sunday morning so that we could even go in. And then by the time I got my car out of the hospital parking lot Sunday afternoon, it was a literal block of ice. I have never, in all of my years of Pennsylvania living, seen ice like this. It was quite insane. And even still, just you're driving through, seeing all of the cleanup from all of the broken trees and branches that are just everywhere. I've never seen ice just literally slice a tree in half.
Yeah, it looked like it was struck by lightning.
No, it was really quite something. So hopefully, knock on wood, that's our giant storm of the season, and then it'll be clear sailing from here on out. Because cold I can deal with, but when you can't get to where you need to be, it definitely makes it really hard. But I feel like those times are always interesting times for you to pause and reevaluate life, because I think you get in a routine of comfort. And when you don't have that for a while, it makes you think about stuff differently. Like how much we rely on the internet and streaming services and deliveries and the instantaneousness of life. All of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it is. So... yeah, I guess that brings us to the other stuff that we've been kind of talking about the last couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
Resist and unsubscribe.
Let's start there. So I am one that typically shies away from anything political just because I also don't keep up with the political landscape the way that you do. So I don't feel, for the most part, that I can have an educated conversation to where I feel like I know what I'm talking about. I definitely know the things that just in general practice, I agree and disagree with, where I have certain stances. But like you were saying, that brings us to our other point. When we're talking about the streaming services, Amazon, all of these big businesses that are just you talk.
They're ruining
Yeah.
society. And yeah, so I don't know. Have we talked about Scott Galloway on here before?
I don't think so. Not really.
Well, anyway, Scott Galloway is the host of several podcasts. The one that most people probably know would be Pivot with Kara Swisher. But he is a multimillionaire. He's a rich guy who is kind of calling bullshit on all of the shit that is wrong with how we have structured the economy. And he started this movement to try to get the attention of the Trump administration called Resist and Unsubscribe. And it's basically unsubscribing from a lot of the big tech companies who have kind of become sycophants to the Trump administration, like donating to his inauguration and basically just trying to fall in line to avoid the tariff policies messing with their business. And yeah, so the plan is to just stop giving your money to those entities, because it seems like the only thing that the administration pays attention to is the fucking stock market. So yesterday we unsubscribed from Amazon Prime, Amazon Video, Audible, Paramount Plus, Netflix, ChatGPT, and we switched our wireless service from at&t to Noble Mobile. And yeah, I encourage everybody else to do the same shit.
And I see it in different ways. And I feel like that's why I like our two brains put together, because I know you're looking at it from, I think you look at it from both angles, but the Trump administration and all of those things, I'm thinking of it from what has happened to us as a society. And trust me, I'm very guilty of this. We keep a pretty specific monthly budget, and it's not that, we just spend too much on Amazon. It's that we take that money that we have and we, by default, will just use Amazon, because admittedly, it's easier than us going to the local store, going to local businesses, and overall sometimes less expensive. But that doesn't make it right. And as two folks who used to own a small business, I feel that in my bones. And when you are just ordering things from your phone, it also means you're not going out into public. You're not talking to people at the checkout. You're not walking into small businesses. You're not contributing to your community, because you're basically just staying at your home and clicking a button. And I don't know if I think about that more deeply, because in a way I'm basically a communication specialist, but I see how people do not interact, or do not know how to interact, or do not know how to handle conflict, or have conversations of any constructive depth, because we have set up society to where you don't need to go to the movies to see a film. You don't need to go to the store to shop for something. And because of COVID, we're not getting together. We're not having parties. And it's not because COVID is still a thing. But you and I, prior to 2020, we used to have parties all the time. And that's when we just had a 1 or 2 bedroom apartment. Or in our apartment complex, we would go to our community center and we would have a party of 10, 15 people. We would get food. We would watch a film together because they had a cool little theater there. We would go to the pool. We would do so much together that when 2020 happened, we just got out of the habit, quite frankly. And then we started a business and life just got busy. And in our own home, we have not done that thing of we're going to have people over, we're going to gather, we're going to introduce new people to other people and network and all of those things. And I feel like that is such a lost art. And it makes me sad and I miss it. Like we went to a local bookstore here in Nashville today. And
the bookshop. Yep.
And I would have gladly stayed longer. We kind of had to leave to get other things done. But I want to go back and I want to look at books. I want to go to Grimey's and buy albums. I want to consume things with my eyeballs while they're in my hands in front of my face and not just completely through a screen.
But even with the screen thing, like last night, after we kind of got on this like unsubscribing kick, I finally took the 30 seconds that it took to plug in the Blu-ray player that I've had for 16 years and just throw the HDMI cable onto the TV. And we watched a few episodes of The Office on DVD. We watched The Social Network on DVD.
Ironically.
To remind ourselves what a piece of shit Mark Zuckerberg is. and then we
we're gonna get canceled.
I don't give a shit. I'm over it, dude.
We are very over it.
I'm over it, man. If Jeff Bezos never gets another fucking dime of our money, I'm perfectly fine with that.
Here's the truth that I've come to, because when we did run a business, I remember being very conservative in how I would express myself. With whatever opportunities that come our way, it's tough when you're in a potential entertainment arena where there's big dollars going around. And I've always believed in my heart of hearts that you and I will be in a period of great wealth one day. And I, both of us together will be extremely successful. I don't know exactly how we're going to get there, and I never know. I just always see that big picture thing. So even the opportunities that we can't really publicly discuss now that are potentially in front of us, right? If those just shit the bed based on how we're talking now, I'm okay with that, because I refuse to just go with it for the sake of success or for the sake of money, because I'm so over it. And if anyone listening to this who has given me money before is like, oh, wow, I didn't know those were her thoughts, because I didn't always express them as my thoughts because I was afraid of losing business. I can't do it anymore. It's like when we were watching the first season finale of the morning show, and not to, ruin it for anyone who's not watched it, but Jennifer Aniston just loses it in that final episode. I just started crying because that's how it feels. It's like when you're fed up and you've had enough, and you can't stay quiet anymore. You have to be honest. You have to speak your truth. And sometimes it can feel easier when you do see musicians that have basically already made it, and then they have the platform and they can just say whatever they want. Or if, Scott Galloway has already made his $100 million and, he's in a good stance, he can just say what he wants and now he has clout, which may not be the case, but just as an example, I don't feel like we're in that place. So sometimes it does feel like, ooh, I gotta watch what I say. I gotta, ooh.
Here's the thing. Like, I don't think there's anybody. Okay, let's just throw the caveat of there is some good that has come from social media and people being more connected.
Yeah.
Marginalized people are able to find communities that they otherwise would have been separated from. I know there's a ton of young people who have found solidarity through networks that they have only been able to find through things like Facebook and Instagram or whatever. So that's all well and good. I mean, the Arab Spring, like people using Twitter to like overthrow autocratic, theocratic regimes in the Middle East, that's all great. But it seems like all of those things were an event horizon over which is just this downward spiral into dysfunction I'm not like a Marxist. I'm not like 100% like, oh, capitalism is inherently wrong. But Jesus Christ, man. Like Jeff Bezos is literally like Dr. Evil in real life. Like with dick-shaped rockets firing himself and celebrities into space for fun. The most like and here's the thing, he's not even like it's like he doesn't even care about the gravity of the moment. Forgive the unintentional pun, but you just got back from there was this viral clip that went around that I watch every once in a while where they had just gotten back from space, and it's like Jeff Bezos and William Shatner. Like he just took William Shatner to space. And William Shatner is like trying to have a moment with him. And Jeff Bezos is like, plastic wife or whatever it is like, who wants champagne? And like, he's like, I want one of those. And he like shakes the bottle up and is like spraying champagne. I don't think William Shatner drinks. And so he's like offering William Shatner champagne. And he's like, no, thank you. William Shatner is just trying to have a sincere human moment of like how powerful it was to have just gone up into space for the first time. And this motherfucker can't give him 2 minutes of his like actual attention. It's like, what the fuck, man? What are we doing? So that's one thing that was already bad. And then all of this shit with the Epstein files, bro, and coming to the realization that absolute power corrupts absolutely. That is 100% true. All of these wealthy, well-connected motherfuckers just, here's the thing, even the ones who didn't participate in the like actual criminal behavior are still culpable for legitimizing Jeffrey Epstein as a power player in society. Because like think about this. You are a teenage victim of Jeffrey Epstein's, trafficking shit. Let's for the sake of argument say Bill Clinton didn't do anything. But let's just say he didn't. Him hanging the fuck out with Jeffrey Epstein, like, I think that Jeffrey Epstein is so diabolical, or was so diabolical, that like he surrounded himself with those powerful people so that even the ones who weren't completely in the know about all the really dark shit he was doing would provide him cover, in the sense of, if you're a 15-year-old girl who's been trafficked from an Eastern European country and you see a former president walking around, you're going to think this guy is well connected and I better not say anything. Whether he did anything or not, which they did. But even the ones like Peter Attia.
Okay. I don't know if Kermit the Frog is going to be the next one that pops up in the Epstein files, because Peter Attia hurt me real bad. Like, that just came out yesterday. And, this will be dropping a week from when we're filming it. So
no, I'm thinking we're going to put this shit out like tomorrow.
We're hot on this one. So today is what, like the 4th? I don't even know what today is. The 5th? I don't know. Anyway, so Dr. Peter Attia wrote a fantastic book on longevity that you and I ate with a spoon. We, follow his social media postings. Brilliant man.
Recommended it. To all of our friends.
Was recommended to us by a good friend. We recommend it all the time. And he's in the Epstein files with just horrible emails that and then it took you and I on a rabbit hole of a conversation last night because, like I said, we were watching the morning show and, not to spoil the plot, but there's a lot relating like the Me Too movement and men in power and all of this. And as a woman, it is hard not to have the assumption that all men are terrible.
Yeah.
And obviously, I do not feel that way about you, but I've had enough sideways relationships with men where it just feels like if men get money, they will just automatically turn into a piece of shit. And obviously that's not true because like you told me to, like the ones that are actually good don't end up in the news. Those are not newsworthy. It seems like it just puts a highlighter on all of the ones that are doing terrible things. But it just leads to so much mistrust when you see people with any level of financial gain and notoriety publicly, and it just really makes you question, do you have to basically be an evil person to get to those places? And they're just masquerading the whole time.
Yeah.
Because of even a physician who's taking oaths to do no harm, and obviously that doesn't have to mean anything, but if even people pledging to do no harm are ending up in the Epstein files.
And here's the thing. I don't think that Peter Attia participated in the criminal behavior that Jeffrey Epstein was up to.
Well, and we don't know that.
I don't know that. I don't think he did, but I don't know. You're right. We don't know that. But he was associating with him up until 2019, like right before he got arrested. And that was post his 2008 conviction. And here's the thing, those prosecutors down in Florida that let him take a fucking plea deal and get out of that original issue, like, Jesus Christ, the amount of harm that they did by letting him get away with that. But anyway, what I'm saying is all these people know that he has a history of some kind of sexual, like, misbehavior, and chose to associate with him anyway because he was so connected.
Dude.
So like Peter Attia talks about going to his New York apartment to discuss like funding for research studies or whatever. And again, it's the like, I'm like,
dude, it's the company.
And Peter Attia also came on like months ago defending Kevin Spacey.
I got two words, man, and it's Kevin Spacey. And I feel like everyone kind of like brush that under the rug a little bit, but like you also, just because of your background in film, have some personal knowledge of
I don't
Kevin
give a
Spacey.
shit. I'll talk about it. Like, I had a friend who worked on the show House of Cards, and got on like in the middle of that show, and was there when all of the allegations came out, and they fired him, and he was there through the end of the show. And I met people who worked in that production office who personally had been groped by Kevin Spacey and didn't say anything because they knew that it would ruin the whole show and it would cost everyone their jobs. That is how that shit works. When someone like Kevin Spacey gets to that point of power where he knows he can get away with shit, they just do. They just do the fucked up shit and they get away with it because they know that for anyone to speak out is going to bring down the entire operation and cost 100 people their income, potentially. And yeah, that's the kind of shit that happens.
And did some might argue, did cancel culture go a little bit too far? Okay, possibly. But
given what we're finding out now, I don't think it went far enough. Because fucking Elon Musk is in the files too.
And that's the thing, because then you have people doing these egregious things, and it's like things have to get so bad before someone finally has a reaction, right? And I feel like, kind of to my point, what I was saying, as a woman, there's just almost inherent mistrust of men, and that's not fair, right? Because you're a good dude. You're a genuinely good dude.
But I get why.
Yeah.
That would be the default.
Yeah. And I wish that wasn't the default. What I'm saying is I wish it wasn't the default. I wish
it didn't have to be.
Yeah. I wish we could err on the side of you automatically think someone's a good person before you find out that they're not. But it's like as a protective measure, it feels like you have to. Like you have to be on high alert for people that might cause you harm, because it does feel like with Kevin Spacey, with Jeffrey Epstein, it feels like things have to be so bad before anything gets done about it.
Well, the thing that happened that took down Kevin Spacey was Anthony Rapp made allegations about him 40 fucking years after the fact. Mm-hmm. It wasn't somebody on the show that he was currently working on. It was someone who'd worked with him or been around him decades in the past who finally was like, well, I think I'm able to say these things now. But dude, like Peter Attia's defending Kevin Spacey was because he technically won in court.
Dude.
But here's the thing. It was a standing joke in Hollywood of, if you're an attractive dude, don't be alone with Kevin Spacey, regardless of your sexual orientation. Like,
well, and it's like we were talking about the other night, because yes, women are we on this extra defense? Sure. But also men are sexual assault victims as well. Like that can't be denied. And I think unfairly, and possibly why the Kevin Spacey thing, some people do want to somewhat overlook it, is when it's men that are involved. It's not always taken as seriously as when it's women.
Yeah, but it's still typically other men doing it.
Oh, I know. I know. And it's all bad. I'm not trust me. It's all bad.
But the point being, men are still the problem.
Yeah.
Because even when men are the victims, it's usually men doing the shit. I feel like there is this reckoning happening because all of these really terrible, disgusting details and images and videos that have been released on this last batch of Epstein shit.
Oh God, I haven't even seen any videos. I don't think I want to.
It's not. This corruption has no political party. It has no. It has no. It doesn't discriminate. Mm-hmm. It just is across the board. That dude had tentacles in every single part of elite circles, regardless of party, regardless of ideology, regardless of religion. It was everybody. And this is that thing, man. We talked about this before, but I read that book, Civilized to Death, back in 2018
when you couldn't go to a Target without cursing the
wanting
skies.
to fucking vomit. Yeah. It was by Christopher Ryan. I highly recommend everybody read it, especially now. But we are not evolved to be connected to everyone else in the fucking world. And so what we are talking about is taking our money and trying to invest it in our local community, with our friends, with the people within our actual physical sphere of influence.
Yeah.
And get the fuck off the internet.
And I know this is where I have somewhat strayed away from politics in the past, and my defense for this, and even someone kind of commented on your post about distancing yourself from Amazon and all these corporations and whatnot, is because it all does feel like too much sometimes. And it's like, what are the things that you can control? And when we had Gold City, it felt like we actually had a point of focus in our community to cater to the arts and to cater to teenagers that were maybe on the spectrum or were queer, or all of the all of the
we
ways they
provided a
weren't
safe place.
supported. Yes, it's providing a safe place. And I was talking to one of my clients just the other day, and we were talking about eye contact, as simple of a thing as that means. She goes, I don't feel like I have a problem having eye contact with you, but you've created a safe space for me here. The fact that we're able to do that is so important to me, that we can make people feel powerful within themselves, that they feel safe in our presence. I feel like that's one of the greatest things that we can do. So all of this internet nonsense, and is this podcast going to end up on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram? Yes. It feels like there's this level you have to play the game, or else you just won't be present in the world at all. But it's that constant dance and balance between how much do you participate versus how much do you just try to be in your community. And I feel like we all across the world need to do a way better balance of that, because we are way too much faces in the phone. I can't, I mean, it just makes me want to jump out of my skin. When you and I were talking last night, and I told you I don't need to know what my high school boyfriend is up to if I'm otherwise not having a conversation with him over the phone or in person. Mm-hmm. Why do I need to know? Well, why do I need to know all of these things? My brain literally does not have the space for it.
Yeah, well, it's funny going back and watching The Social Network, which came out in 2009. Mm-hmm. And it was before Meta became, like as
before
big.
Meta was Meta. It wasn't even Meta.
It was still just Facebook. It was before they acquired Instagram. Before Instagram existed. Yep. But it's funny going back and watching, of course it was a dramatization, but when they're talking about not wanting to put ads on the platform in the early days because it would make it uncool. Mm-hmm. Okay. Where the fuck is that energy? Because I remember, or even when you had control over the shit that you saw in your newsfeed or the wall or whatever, when it was the wall.
Oh, I miss the wall.
I remember when you just saw things in chronological order. Hmm. If somebody else developed a platform that would revert back to 2006 Facebook, I'd use that shit.
You might be okay. It might not feel so bad.
But now, and Scott Galloway, Jesus Christ, I'm fumbling over my words. Scott Galloway did a TED Talk that was basically about how the boomer generation is more or less robbing millennials and Gen Z dry. And was talking about how one of the things that we could change is any algorithmically boosted content needs to lose Section 230 protection, which separates publishers from the responsibility of what gets posted on their platform. Because it's not a public square if an algorithm artificially amplifies certain voices over others. A public square would be like a bulletin where anybody can post everything and it all appears, and there is no
gatekeeping? Is that the word you're looking for?
No, there's no algorithmic amplification of some content over others.
Okay.
Every single social media platform that we use right now, that's all it is. And even in the way that we discover facts about things that happen. I know that my conservative friends and family are seeing an entirely different set of videos, news stories than my liberal friends and family. And because I intentionally try to consume things from both sides of the political spectrum, my algorithm's like kind of nuts. I get stuff from like Ben Shapiro, and then of course like Scott Galloway, and like all over the place. I see a bunch of different stuff. And what I notice is, if you look at the reaction count and the comments, what is happening right now is conservative, and basically anything under the current administration, like the Department of Labor and the Department of Homeland Security's Facebook pages, all of their content, which it really looks like a 14-year-old trolling people, all of their content is being fed to liberals who laugh, react, and comment, just shitting all over it. And everything that CNN and MSNBC share gets sent straight to conservatives who laugh, react, and shit all over it in the comments. So they're not even reaching their quote unquote like target audiences. They are reaching the people who they're angering. That is what is happening to us as a society.
Is anyone else, and I feel like I'm looking into the camera on this one, is anyone else just exhausted? I'm exhausted. I'm to the point I feel like I'm upset and just exhausted. And I taper between like the best of Rage Against the Machine versus laying under the covers with my cat. Like, that's where I feel like I'm constantly bouncing, because it takes very otherwise rationally minded people, and you just get annoyed and fed up, and you don't know what's real anymore. You're just beefing with people all over the place. You're beefing with family members. You're beefing with friends. You're beefing with people you don't even know. And it's just so tiring. It's just so tiring.
The tiresome thing to me is we can all look at the same set of videos and just decide what we're looking at based on where we fall in the political spectrum. That's what it's crazy to me. Yeah.
Here's what I want to know, because also where I get annoyed with people that are just posting, they're just complaining. I want to know, what is the constructive solution? And I feel like we're circling back somewhere to what we've started about being more community minded, about supporting our friends and family, about actually making differences in the ways that we can and not just complaining. Because I feel like that's where social media gets a little bit like a runaway train as well, is that everyone just wants to complain, but there's no solution to any of it. And the thing that we've come up with is, first of all, our idea to have more parties just in general at our house. And at this point, you and I don't drink. We don't do substances of any kind. So I feel like the context of a party looks different than it was when we were in our 20s. But just a way of getting people together. And if we're consuming media, like we talked about doing a vinyl record pairing with a certain TV show. So if it's, The Office and David Bowie, I don't know, but something like that. But to where people are actually in our home together. They're maybe meeting new people that they've not before. They're putting their cell phones in a bag and they're not permitted to look at it for 2 hours. And I feel like even when you say that, it sounds like a radical idea. In all of these schools that want to have cell phone bans, and you have some people that are all for it, and then some that are just, oh my God, what if I have to reach my child? Okay, well, there used to be a time, and I know that you and I don't have children. When I was a kid in the 80s into the 90s, you had to just go to the office if you wanted to call your mom. And otherwise, you had to also have a really good reason to want to call your mom. Like
there was a time where you had to like
home.
There was a time where you had to trust the adults that you placed your child in their care to be like, is this a legitimate reason to need to call your mom?
And there's something to be said for that. And
we don't trust anybody. Nobody trusts anybody. And like, I don't know, we got to figure out a way around that. But here's the thing, the radicalization thing, right? I said this out loud in the car today when we were on the way to the bookstore, that I feel myself becoming radicalized. Mm-hmm. And that term is used to imply a scary destabilization.
Yeah.
And I want to rebrand that word. And what I mean by radicalized is I want to be very intentional about where we spend our time and money from now on, and to make sure that we are not actively or passively contributing to this march toward a dystopian hellscape. Mm-hmm. And so what does that look like? Let me see. I made some notes.
But it's also outrageous to me that you even have, like, the word radical in 2026 refers to what you're going to segue into now, because radical in the 60s had a very different context.
Well, what I mean is, like, I'm not advocating for going out in the street and burning shit down. I'm not advocating for political violence, because obviously that's not getting anybody anywhere.
No,
that is making
things worse.
Things way, way, way worse. But Scott Galloway's thing with the resist and subscribe and unsubscribe movement is that in a capitalist system, which whether you like it or not, we are currently operating in, the most radical form of protest is not participating. Mm-hmm. It is going on an economic strike against the systems that are currently upholding all of this dysfunction. And it's really these social media and big tech firms. So that means, again, I said this earlier, fuck Amazon. Jeff Bezos is not getting any more of our money. I don't care how inconvenient because it's not inconvenient. Oh my God, we used to just go to the store. So we're just going to go to the store and buy the things that we need from people who live here. Mm-hmm. We don't need every subscription video service. Like, why can't things exist on a physical medium? This pissed me off when we were talking about canceling Amazon, and we had like purchased films that we watch every year around the holidays, classic films that we watch at certain times of the year. And you had the concern of like, are we going to lose those if we let the Amazon account cancel?
Yeah, because it's something we paid for.
Yeah.
And paid for it specifically because we wanted to watch it again.
Right. Well, we're going to get the DVD of those things and put a fucking disc in a machine and own it forever instead of just until we decide that we don't want to contribute to this stuff anymore. Like, not arguing about things on the internet.
Now,
in a comment thread.
I would like to catch everyone up to speed that you used to do this for a long time. You used to be the guy, so you come by it very honestly, because you used to be the guy in the comment threads for hours, my friend.
Yeah, but none of that was productive.
It wasn't.
Almost all of that was a giant waste of time.
My, how you've grown.
And we don't need to be having these conversations online. We just don't.
If you're not going to say it to my face, it doesn't need to be said.
But even I think the act of arguing in a comment thread is even worse than just like having a one-on-one exchange with someone that you disagree with. Because the comment thread is like this public game of I want the people that agree with me to it's just virtue signaling and trying to dunk on the people that you disagree with. I want to look good to the people that I like, and I want to make the person I dislike look absolutely horrific. And that is not productive. So when I say radical, I mean, yeah, dude, I don't want to give money to any of these entities anymore. And if Meta wasn't a fucking monopoly, and if that ever gets broken up and we have a platform that I can share our content without contributing to teenagers wanting to self-harm, then I'll gladly switch over to that platform.
Mm-hmm.
But as of right now, this seems to be the only way to get a fucking message out to people other than walking around with flyers.
We should take it to the streets in that way. Just hand out flyers. Yeah.
But even the books that we put out, like the journal and the music theory thing, that's coming down from KDP.
I was just going to say.
That's coming down from Amazon. I'm going to find a local print shop here and just get them printed in bulk and try to sell them wholesale to local stores.
Yep. Absolutely. I agree with that, and I think that's the right thing to do. This reminds me of when you and I were making a lot of dietary changes, and I remember when we looked at, oh my God, well, I can't eat gluten, I can't eat dairy, oh my God, like I have to take so much of these things away. And it's more of a swap, right? And I think on Scott Galloway's website for Resist and Unsubscribe, he mentions, the possible swaps. Like we said, instead of at&t, we're doing Noble Mobile. So it's just the comfort that you fall into because, yeah, Amazon is easy. I open my phone, I click a button, boom, I get it, if not tomorrow, the same day, which is sometimes faster than I can go to the store. But how much do I really need those things that moment? I won't survive. I won't make it. Are you really? No, that's not the case. And we've just all become inherently lazy and inherently comfortable. And that's what life is now. And dude, we are very, very fortunate. I do not want to come across as ungrateful because you and I already have so much. And we've worked hard to get where we are. And we weren't born with trust funds. That's not yeah. We have good supportive family, but we're not trust fund babies with silver spoons in our mouths. And we have worked hard. I worked all the way through COVID, going into nursing homes. I had to cash out my 401k at one point to keep Gold City alive because I wanted to keep it in the community so much. Sold my car. Like I've done hard work and I've done the thing. And I just can't do this anymore. I can't be disingenuous with people anymore. I can't hide my true feelings about things anymore. And there are probably some people that are going to listen to this or see a clip that we're going to post that are going to tell us to screw off. Or like, oh, I didn't know that those were your feelings. Ooh.
But here's the thing. We're not like, I'm going to be very clear. I would say I'm fair. My politics are very like.
You're pretty middle of the road kind of guy.
I feel like I am very practical, and so I'm not. I don't know, man. I feel like everything gets boiled down to like a slogan. Like abolish ICE. Like abolish ICE. I'm like, I'm not going to say abolish ICE, but what I am going to say is ICE has no business being out in the street terrorizing citizens and non-citizens alike, violating the First, Second, Fourth, Sixth, Eighth, basically the entire Bill of Rights on a daily basis to get their job done. And I don't want to give my money to at&t, who handles a lot of their network communication and their infrastructure for that. So I'm not. That's not saying that we need to go out in the street and attack or even interfere with these officers. Like, look out.
That's a good way to get yourself injured.
Yeah, apparently so.
As we've learned. In the last
apparently they have no problem shooting people. I don't know, man. It's so fucked. It's so fucked watching a video of like, and here's the thing, interfering with federal law enforcement is obviously becoming, it was already stupid, but it's becoming a more stupid thing to do. Because they obviously just don't care about, they don't value human life at all, apparently. And they can violate people's civil rights with immunity. And that's per the vice president. So it's one thing to be correct. It's one thing to have the moral high ground and be right. And then it's another thing to be practical and get shit done. I think that if we cripple these tech overlord sycophants who bend over backward to not, challenge the Trump administration. Because let me tell you something, folks. All these companies like Google and OpenAI and NVIDIA and Amazon, they're doing circular deals, inflating all of these AI technologies. And a lot of that, those circular deals and the speculation around AI is responsible for a significant percentage of our GDP growth this past year. And I think a lot of it is bullshit. And that eventually it's going to come out that like these large language models aren't going to deliver what they say that they can deliver, and their valuations are going to go down. And outside of that, there isn't a lot much going on in the economy. And I think that might be what ends up making things change, is when the truth actually hits and this stuff isn't going to be the game changer that everyone's selling it as, well, then we don't really have any growth to show. So if we stop giving them their money or giving them our money every month, they won't have any progress to show.
Yeah. These are trying times, bud. What else you want to talk about?
I don't know. I guess that's it.
This was not the original intent of this podcast, but we've just been, I don't know, we've just been really heated the last week. And it just feels like you can't be quiet anymore. I mean, truly, it's something has to give. Something has to give. And I just am really disappointed by the state of humans just not being human anymore. It's it feels like we're all just being taken over by our cell phones, and people can't even have creative thoughts anymore because of AI music and all of the things that it all does.
You know
and
what?
It's just all of it.
The idea that, there's a lot of people who are going to be like, I really like your music or whatever. I wish you just like shut the fuck up and like sing. It's like, okay, well, like, I'm sorry. Like, I have opinions too. And fucking, Brenda the florist gets to spout off at the mouth on her Facebook page just because I'm providing a service that's supposed to be quote unquote neutral. I have to shut the fuck up and play the guitar.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm sorry, my opinion about Ice doesn't affect how good I can sing an Otis Redding cover. You know what I'm saying? Like,
mm-hmm.
I just want the federal government to stop, like, actively gaslighting the American public. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
But they're not gonna. So we've got to just adapt.
Yeah. But there are things that we can do, because I easily forget that when I go into the different vintage shops that are in town, or the bookstore that we went to today, I know how good it feels when you are a small business and you make that sale, or when you are a waitress or a musician and you get that tip. And we are often consumed by spending money just in inappropriate ways to the big businesses that don't need it.
And who are actively trying to drive wedges between people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's just a losing game. Those apps, all of them, are specifically designed to keep you on it as long as possible. As long as possible. And this isn't me thinking that I've got it figured out, that, I'm just not going to do that anymore. I get trapped into it too. Easily. To the point that I either have to turn off my phone and or put it in a drawer or put it in my car when I come in. I mean, it's become this animal that I can't tame, because it is addictive and it's set up for that purpose. And if we did not do business the way that we do business, which somewhat relies on social media, unfortunately, I wonder how much we would even be on it. But again, that's also the day and age that we live in, that, yeah, I can have a website, but if I don't have some sort of social media presence, it does feel like you're going to be just lost in the shuffle or not be taken seriously without any content.
Yeah. But I think everyone's feeling that. I don't know. It feels like a lot of things are coming to a head.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of things are coming to a head.
Everyone feels the same way, but doesn't say it. It's like when you've watched any movie and it's some love relationship and they're both having the same exact feeling if they would just speak up about it, but they don't. And you see it happening in front of your eyes now. I think everyone is tired and everyone complains about social media, but at the same time, we do nothing to stop it.
Yeah.
And even in filming this podcast, it feels like we're just contributing to all of it.
Well,
but how do you otherwise get your words out?
No, I mean, like, it's funny, like, even on the resist and unsubscribe website, Scott Galloway suggests, deleting Facebook and WhatsApp, but then says, like, apparently the only way to get your message out is to use Instagram. So they're begrudgingly using Instagram to get the message out, just like we're about to be doing.
And hasn't he even said it, like, don't like this or comment, just go to the website, just
No.
do the unsubscribes? I thought he was very specific as far as I don't want you to be on this app necessarily any longer, but unfortunately, this is the only way I can get this message out.
Yeah. Something
which is
like
true.
that.
Unless he starts sending carrier pigeons, just dropping flyers from city to city. Maybe that's the next step.
Yeah.
What else, buddy? What do you hope everyone takes away from this rant of ours?
If you're listening to this, if you've made it so this far, and you're like a really big fan of what is going on in this country right now, like
say it to the camera.
We have to be able to hold two things in our minds at the same time as adults trying to function in society. You can disagree with how and why people like Alex Preddy are protesting. You can fully, vehemently disagree with them about whether or not we should be trying to deport every single person who's illegally in the United States, or you can agree with them. But you can disagree with them on those things and at the same time want to hold federal agents accountable for their actions in dealing with those protesters. In the death of Alex Preddy, in every angle of that video, and I don't give a shit about the new video that came out showing that, a week and a half before he died, he kicked the taillight out of an ICE car. He should be alive for two reasons. He should have been actually arrested then and taken into custody for the crime that he committed then. But because he wasn't, and he was out on the street, he had another opportunity to engage with federal agents again. But that time, he didn't do any of those things. And what you see in all these videos are federal agents not doing anything to de-escalate the situation, to simply have a conversation. Everything is getting turned up to 11 immediately. And that flies in the face of every single protocol that I have ever heard from law enforcement, including people I've talked to, people that I know personally who are either current or former law enforcement, who agree that we should try to be deporting all these people, but who also are like, yeah, but these tactics are not helpful. You don't get to kill American citizens because they are inconveniencing you. And then the administration goes on television the day that the thing happened and intentionally mischaracterize what happened in the video. You have Kristi Noem saying that this guy was obviously out to massacre ICE agents for basically having what every gun enthusiast would agree is a pretty standard everyday carry rig. A 9mm handgun and 2 magazines. I have it in my car right now. And I disagree with what ICE is doing. Is my presence near an ICE operation with that everyday concealed carry rig Does that mean that I intend to massacre ICE agents because I, one, disagree with them and happen to be in their vicinity at the same time with that rig? No. You can't love the Second Amendment if you think the only people who should have it are the ones that agree with you. We don't get to pick and choose who's covered by the amendments that we all have. And it should be scary as shit to everyone that you can watch a video of something happen and listen to what the federal government's official statement is, and it be painfully obvious that there are disparaging or discrepancies between those two things. That should scare the shit out of everybody, including and especially my conservative friends whose whole ethos is the federal government should be under control. The federal government shouldn't be interfering with state and local people in what they want. So, I guess that's that.
Like that's how I feel like. Just want to exhale. So my hope is that in the next month, we can truly feel lighter, try to make a difference in our own community, in our own home, and just do better. Man, people need to do better. And like we say all the time, we will be dead one day. We will be a speck of dust. I want to be remembered for the good that we were able to do while we were still on this earth. And I don't want it to be behind a screen. I want it to be in the presence of people.
If you've made it this far, I'm going to say this. I'm going to link Scott Galloway's TED Talk. And then there was another TED Talk. I wish I could remember the person's name, but it was about how basically everyone 18 and under are currently on track to spend 94% of their free time looking at a screen.
Oh, I remember you telling me that.
I showed that to Jacob one night when they were here.
Isn't that the one that equates it to money? Like, how much would you pay for it if it was based on,
and it was
would you pay $2,000 a month for it? And everyone said no, obviously.
So I'm going to link that. If you want to learn more about the resist and unsubscribe movement, I'm going to leave a link to that in the show notes. It's worth watching Scott Galloway's introduction video to that movement because he said all of this stuff way more eloquently than I could restate here. But be kind to each other. Whether we all have to do a better job of treating everyone with some grace as if they have the benefit of giving people the benefit of the doubt, especially when we're interacting with strangers in public.
Mm-hmm. And I'll say this, because you also never know whose mind you might be changing, right? Yeah. And you've been in that camp where your views at different stages of your life have been different. And I think one of the greatest signs of maturity and growth is the ability to change your mind and change your opinions. And yeah, I think that's it. And that's all I've got.
That it requires a lot of patience.
Yeah.
And it almost never happens on like I said, like a comment thread.
Yeah.
I grew up in a very, very conservative environment at a Christian school and went to college with an open mind and had it changed and went really hardcore in the opposite direction almost out of spite for a long time. And if you are willing to leave your mind open, I feel like most people settle somewhere in a very practical worldview where I'm not going to take everything that any given political pundit says at face value. And you have to see where open inquiry and evidence leads you. And that involves consuming content that you have a visceral reaction negatively to. It involves being willing to talk to people that you think you might not agree with, and doing it with integrity. This has been the Good, the Bad, and the Music podcast. And again, we're your hosts, T. Davis.
And bri.worek.
Be well, friends.
Be well, be good to each other. Take care of your communities. Thank you for listening.